Okay, I'm going to do a few spinning entrances into the saddle. Again, there's a ton of ways you can spin into it. We're just going to concentrate on 2 from passing and 2 from the other 2 control positions. So just go for this. So let's just say I split the legs and I do enter this time with my foot in the middle, which isn't a bad thing. It just gives you options. So from this position, I'm in headquarters. All I'm going to do from here is bring my left knee, I'll stuff Lewis's right knee, and I'm going to bring my left knee across his knee line, or sorry, his belly. I'm going to post my left hand on the mat, and as I get my knee to the mat, I'm going to scoop my hip around the corner, and now we're in the combat base. Again, I've made that wedge, so I'm basically controlling the knee line. If Lewis butt scoops back, I'm connected to him. Nothing's changed. You just sit back on my butt, control the secondary leg, get foot to foot, and into the saddle. Let's look at another variation of that. You're on your butt. So again, once I enter into headquarters, I really want to keep this leg elevated, so I'm going to underhook it. Okay. And then I underhook it, I'm going to stuff this knee. My shin's going to come across his belly, and I post my hand on the mat, and then I turn the corner. So I've made that wedge. The whole theme of this mesocycle has been making that wedge, connecting my heel to my knee. So now, anytime Lewis butt scoops back, I'm with him, and I'm not fighting for the knee line. So now when I sit back into the saddle, I have that knee line, and that's going to really help my control and also the submissions that we look at. Let's do that one more time. This side. So I get us back in the mat, I'm in the headquarters, I underhook the leg, I stuff the knee, come around, get into combat base, find the secondary leg, and we're into the saddle. Here, saddle your back. Another option from there is a pass. Sometimes, I think I've taught in the club a few times, is I get control of the legs and I just bring my hips forward. Because sometimes if he does nothing, I'll redirect and I'm into the leg drag position. And again, you can mix this up with an earlier technique. I can pin the wrist, step over, put my weight on my hands, put my knee on the mat, and then get my shoestring at the back of his hamstring. Bring my other knee in, we're in the combat base. I've got the wedge, sit back, and we're in the saddle. But an even simpler way is, the second I get control of his feet and I do this, our reaction is Lewis is going to do heavy legs and bring his legs down and we end up here. It's a common reaction when we go for that pass. The second he does, I just underhook it. Stuff the knee, come across, wash into the saddle again. A little bit slower. So that theme of getting combat base and making that wedge is a big thing. Just on this side. So again, you get control, hips in. When he does heavy legs, I'm just doing this, stuffing that. My knee comes across. As I turn the corner, there's my combat base, and I made that wedge. Find the secondary leg, sit back, foot to foot, split the legs, and I've underhooked the leg. Let's look at a few. Let's look at it from single leg X. This is on his feet. Just do an entrance, so he did, so his left leg forward. So I'm playing my staggered guard. Nothing's changed. If Lewis takes a step this way, I make the hook, and then this is my distance maker. They come in, shin to shin, elevate his leg, you get his hands on the mat, pull him into single leg X, but he's on his feet. I catch that leg, take him down. Only now from here, another way into it, because we looked at dragging this across, and I'm here. But again, we taught that first because it was easier. But sometimes in the process of me bringing this over, Lewis has got his hands on the mat, he's butt scooping back, and then he loses the knee line, and then it's a battle of getting this back. So another way to to get in to the saddle from here, from this position, and I have that wedging effect, is the knee that's in the middle comes over, and now from there it's the same thing. I'm coming up and I've made that wedge again. Very hard for Lewis. The butt scoop back now. Find the secondary leg. We're into the saddle. Let's go again now. You're down there, Lewis. On your feet, sir. So again, he's his left leg forward. I'm playing the game. I'm making sure that this is my distance maker. If he circles this way, we keep him on the left side of my body. Then he get shin to shin, and he just get his hands on the mat. By taking him over, pull him into single leg X, but he's on his feet, or it doesn't matter, just drop your butt, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, if I'm here, okay, all I'm looking to do is come up, so the foot that's on the hip, just switch it this way, foot on the hip comes down, and he replace it with my knee. Okay, I'm still controlling this leg, so when I spin the combat base, I already have that wedge, and now from here, control the secondary leg. And we're in. Let's do it from the outside ashy. So, just you put the outside ashy in me, Lewis. So you're here. Put both feet to the outside. So we looked at the outside ashy. Haven't done too much of the mesocycle on this, but we did look at a common escape that people will do from here. And one was bringing my foot to his body, right? Bringing my heel turning towards him. And now from there I can make a base and basically come up, and I'm into the smash Kenny Basami position, which sucks for Lewis. And from here I can flatten him out, windshield wiper, and start to pass the side control. We can close that down by, let's just say, have Lewis and single leg X. Maybe, sorry, just don't scoop this way. So I have him in the single leg X position, possibly, maybe he's trying to mess with his foot and I come to the outside ashy. Okay, I know that if Lewis wants to come up into the smash Kenny Basami position, he has to bring this foot under. We already covered this in an early class. So if I was going for the foot lock, I just underhook his leg and make sure it's off the mat. So if he tries to come up now, very difficult. Now he can come up the other way by turning his hip and coming up this way. And if he is, I'm in the single leg X and I have him on the mat again. So from outside ashy, if I was going for the footlock, and we'll be covering the submissions soon. So from here, I just make that underhook. As long as I have his foot off the mat, he can't come up on top. So now really nothing's changed. I'm going to spin and look to get to my wedge from combat base. So what I'm going to do from there is, if Lewis is sitting up like this, I'll just scissor my leg, so I'll stretch my top leg out and bring this one through a little bit. Okay, this is going to help me put my knee on the mat. And the whole time I do this, I want to keep this foot off the mat. So I'm just coming up and making a frame from here. I keep this off the mat, and now from there I just sit back. This puts Lewis flat onto his back. The minute I have his back on the mat, I'm just turning into combat base again. There's my wedge, controlling that secondary leg. We're back into the saddle. Let's do that again. So, just hear this. Perfect. So I'll just go from single leg X again. Maybe I'm here, and I find Lewis pushes down on my foot. I know he's going to butt scoop across and try to come across, so I'm going to close that down by making a secondary wedge of the hip. Now he's like 2 feet. Hard to push my feet down now, it's hard to actually escape that way. So sometimes, when you're playing single leg X and you feel him pushing this foot down, I can just bring this other foot on top. So now I have that double wedge. But I know that he can come up. So that usually you'll have your forearm in the leg lock position. That becomes an underhook. Okay? And then from that position, I'm going to scissor my legs. This allows me to come to my knees, but I want to make sure that I keep this foot elevated. So as I come up to my knees, I want to plant my foot on the mat, And then I'll just basically sit back on this. If he's still sitting up, just flip over this way. If he's still sitting up, I can sit up a wee bit if you can. I can get him flat on his back because that's where I want him. I don't want him taking my back. I just put my butt on him. Okay, and then from there, with that leg still elevated, I just switch to combat base. Nothing's changed. Sit back, move the saddle, one more time on that, and we'll just go from this angle over here is. Perfect. So I'm in single leg X, maybe he pushes my foot down, I just come into the outside Ashi. Okay, I then switch, keep this leg off the mat. Scissor my legs, come up to my knees. If Lewis is still elevated at this stage, I'll plant my foot on the mat and just sit back on him. Okay. Now from here, keeping that foot elevated, I just turn. This is why I'm perpendicular. You have to be perpendicular. This is why it's called cross ashi. So when I sit back into the saddle, I'm in my position. So again, there's a lot more entrances than that. It just gives you food for thought. You can play around, make up your own. Let me give you something.